Before the new state legislature was sworn in yesterday, Democrats passed a long list of bills impacting residents across the state. This week, we've told you about the state's new assault weapons ban and a bill to protect abortion providers. Governor Pritzker says that he will also sign off on a plan to guarantee workers across Illinois get paid leave. The bill passed both chambers late on Tuesday. It requires all employers statewide to allow a minimum of 40 hours of paid leave per year. The time off can be used for any reason.
So joining us this evening is State Representative Jahan Gordon Booth. She is a Democrat from Peoria who helped push those bills across the finish line this week.
And Representative, thanks for being with us. I want to start with the paid leave bill. That is something that I know you were quite passionate about. You got support along party lines here. Talk to me about what you think small businesses who are, have criticized the legislation, saying that it's going to hurt the mom and pops. How have you responded to that idea?
Well, see, we worked very closely with the business community on this particular piece of legislation. We brought together labor advocates as well as the business community, which is why in committee we were sitting at the table with the Illinois Retail Merchants Association, presenting the bill with them in support of this measure. The bill passed out in a bipartisan manner. Democrats and Republicans came together to support this measure. This was something that I negotiated very patiently over the last 4 years to get this to a place where we could ensure that we're listening to small, medium, and large business owners to ensure that this actually works for the employer and the employees.
And tell us how it works for the employee. Is this in addition to our sick time and our vacation time?
So no, it is not in addition. So stacking your days off is not permitted in this policy. If you work for an employer that already provides you more than 5 days paid leave, then you would already be in compliance with this policy. But what we do know is that there are over 2 million people in the state of Illinois that are not covered by a collective bargaining agreement, and they also don't have a salaried position. Those are oftentimes the folks that we called essential workers during the pandemic. Many of these low-wage workers, regardless of the severity of the situation, they have no time off, and we know how difficult it can be when making a decision about whether or not to go to work ill, put off some very, very important things that one needs to do for yourself or for your family, simply because you wouldn't be able to afford your rent or your mortgage or your car note at the end of the month. We believe that this is going to bring dignity to the workspace, which is why the business community as well as labor was in support of this measure.
We know this really came into the forefront. I mean, I know you've been working on it since 2019, but with the railroad strike and the workers there who were, not getting any time off, how would you recommend that an Illinois employee would take advantage of this? What's the enforcement if you find there's an employer who is not really adhering to it?
So what we're going to do now that we have passed the measure, we're waiting on the governor's signature, which we believe will happen, is the next phase of the implementation policy, which is we're going to work very closely with the Department of Labor, who would have oversight over the enforcement of this. And we're going to continue to ensure that we're looking for ways to help people to comply. We don't want this to be something that is negative and we want to ding businesses, right? We want to keep business at the table. We want to keep labor at the table to ensure that the actual enforcement of this policy is done in such a way so that we can help people actually comply and do for their employees likely what they would want to do anyways. We're just going to give them a little bit of assistance in getting that done.
I know you must feel so happy after all the years of work that you did. I want to turn to some other topics because there was a lot going on in Springfield. You gave a pretty impassioned speech about the assault weapons ban. For those who don't think it will make a difference, what would you say?
I'd say, there are when it comes to the issue of gun violence, whether we're talking about Chicago, Cairo, or Peoria, or any community in between, we have to take these issues and we have to unpack them. The issue of gun violence certainly is not going to be eradicated merely by an assault weapons ban, but we cannot ignore the issue that assault weapons is playing in many of our communities across the state of Illinois. But it's also going to require, a different look at how we are managing the trauma that many of these communities are dealing with. We have to deal with the issue of economics and education. All of these things play into what we are seeing play out, unfortunately, in the streets, whether it's the southwest side of Chicago, the south side of Peoria, or the east side of Springfield. It's an issue that is not just relegated to the city of Chicago. It's one that we ought to take very seriously and begin to unpack all of the multi-layers in which create the kind of violence and the destitution that you see in many of our communities.
Representative, when that law got signed, many sheriffs got together and said, we're not going to enforce it. What was your reaction to that? What's your message to them?
Listen, I like to try to operate from a place of trying to bring people together to understand perspectives. And so, I think that likely was said in the heat of the moment. A lot of folks around the state are sportsmen and women, and they feel as though some of these weapons are weapons that they like to use, whether it be for hunting and gamesmanship. But what I do know is that these law enforcing sheriffs are going to abide by the law of the state of Illinois. So I don't doubt that they're going to enforce the law. I think that probably was something that was said in the heat of the moment, because one of the things that I'm very clear on is the impassioned way in which people feel very much so connected to this culture of weapons. And the reality of it is I don't believe in besmirching people for the things that they hold deeply, because that doesn't help us to move forward. And so I believe that it was something that was said in the heat of the moment, but I do believe that they will enforce the law.
If only all lawmakers could have that sense of collaboration. State Representative John Gordon Booth, thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you for having me.